we promised someone something that we failed to deliver, I know both you and I promised ourselves after that it was never going to happen again. Like we were going to be more careful about what we committed to and the jobs that we took on, but we were going to try to thrill our clients with what we gave them and not disappoint them.
There are three kinds of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what just happened. We make things happen. We proactively add value instead of waiting to be told to do so. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of this amazing podcast. And I want to take just a second here and say we're going to do something totally different than we've done so far. On the podcast, Dallin and I are interviewing guests. We generally don't take time for ourselves. And we've decided we're going to take over the podcast just for today. And we're going to talk about something that we're really excited about. AccruDent has just turned 2 years old. We've been in business now for 2 years. And there have been a lot of things happen during those 2 years. And so Dallin and I have decided we want to talk about some of them, share some of the wins, share some of the losses. And yeah, we're hoping you just get a lot of great value out of the podcast today. So Dallin, just throwing this out there to you, you can start us off. The start, how did we get started with this? And what were some of our, initial thoughts and kind of initial thesis about building a business?
Well, I think it all began with you and I wanting to make a bigger impact on the industry than we had before. But both of us have been around DSOs for a while, you longer than me. And we both had good positions that we were happy with, but felt like we could make a bigger impact. And then obviously you and I, we've talked about entrepreneurship my whole life. We always thought it would be fun to start something together, but we found ourselves in this position where we actually could. We both had unique experience in the dental industry. We both had skills that were complementary. And when we had this idea to start something and we started talking to DSOs and trying to figure out what's needed in the marketplace and kept hearing back that people needed more sophisticated financial help, we were like, wait a minute, that's something we could actually provide. And it's a perfect blend of your skill set and my skill set. And we could go and make immense value starting tomorrow. It just made sense for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what about the name AccruDent? Remind me what that process was we went through as we were trying to figure out what to name the business, which, by the way, I'm horrible at naming things already. So
yeah, this is you and I both know we get AccruDent or AccruDent. People are always confused how to pronounce it. We say AccruDent internally, but y'all can say whatever the heck you want. It was a car trip. And again, it's one of the benefits of the father and son duo. It was a family road trip that you and I were driving from Colorado to Utah, and we had a rough idea of what we wanted to do as a business. We knew we wanted to focus in on accrual-based accounting and provide some other financial services, but needed a good name. We tossed out tons of ideas. I think that was a 10-hour car trip, and we talked about this for at least 6 or 7 hours of that car trip. But by the time we finished, we had AccruDent. And we knew that trademark didn't exist anywhere else. And we both liked the name and we thought that it conveyed what we were trying to do, but it was unique and kind of catchy. But it was a road trip that we had the discussion on.
Yeah, I remember that. And we came up with all kinds of crazy names. Some of them literally not really being close to anything in dental or anything in finance. Yeah, we exhausted the rest of the family that was in the car with us at the time. They're like,
yeah, I felt kind of bad for them. You want to talk about our original go-to-market?
Oh,
and
yeah.
The first couple client engagements we had.
Wow. So at the very beginning, we were thinking very broad, and it was way too broad. But we were thinking broad, and we were thinking, DSOs, every single one that we've ever been in or participated in always has lots of problems and lots of challenges. And so we said, hey, how about we come in and we do this comprehensive analysis of everything that's going on in your DSO. We'll give you a report that tells you what's working and what's not. And if there are some things we can help with, or if we know other people we can refer to you. That was the start of our business model. And we found it to be extremely frustrating. Primarily because DSO leaders are super busy And it took forever for us to get to all the right places, to get all the information, to even put together any type of analysis. And so we're super thankful to those potential clients that we talked to and that we, tried this out on. But really quickly, we started to pull back and say, that's just too comprehensive. That's too hard. We've got to narrow ourselves down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt a little bad for them. It turned into multiple hour-long meetings. And the idea, I still think, is a good one. It's this idea that departments aren't truly isolated. There's no such thing as just an RCM problem, just a technology problem, just an accounting problem. Everything influences other parts of the business. So we thought, if we just approach it holistically, we can help identify synergies or fix operational problems. But you're right, it was just too complicated and we didn't really know what we wanted to do. Like, it was our way of showing up and saying, like, hey, we're smart, like we can fix anything. Like, just give us problems and we'll solve them. And as a result, those first couple of clients, we did very different things for.
Oh yeah.
We did like some fractional CFO consulting. We did some like fractional CTO consulting. We built out analytics dashboards.
Doctor pay stuff. We were
we helped an organization with doctor pay. So they were kind of all over the board and not organized. But it was good experience for us because we were figuring out what we wanted to do and what the industry really needed. And it was through that process that we figured out, or more of like we validated, that accrual-based accounting was a significant need in the industry, that there wasn't anyone else doing it. None of the groups that we talked to were on accrual and no one offered it. There's nowhere people could turn to if they wanted to convert.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so obviously we decided to niche ourselves down after trying to be everything to everybody. We said, all right, let's niche this thing down and let's figure out how to do that. And so accrual accounting became, right there, the beginning of it. And the mission that we created, I want to read this from, we look at this on a regular basis. Our mission is this: emerging DSOs have never had financial clarity they can 100% trust. AccruDent is here to end that. With accrual reporting backed by CFO experience and custom technology, DSO leaders will have greater confidence, investors will trust their numbers, and their value will increase. And I love that mission. We're in the process of fulfilling it and bringing a lot of value. I don't know what jumped out in your mind as I just shared that.
I want to highlight that emerging DSOs bit at the beginning, because this was another important part of us niching ourselves down, figuring out who we are as a company. After we figured out that accrual accounting bit, we're like, okay, our job is to evangelize and spread accrual-based accounting across the whole dental industry and do it for anyone that's willing to let us do it for them. And we learned really quick that for single practices, or maybe like a 2 to 3 location group, it wasn't a good fit. We were bringing too much complexity to the table. We were changing things around more than the owner dentist wanted. Like, our fees didn't make very much sense for a single location. Like, it just wasn't a good fit. And then similarly, for larger groups that had a full-time CFO or PE backing, we would come in and they could just already do everything that we were promising to do for them. And it really locked us down to this emerging DSO market, which we define as between 5 and 20 locations. And now one of my favorite things about our business is how specific we've gotten. Like, I love when people ask us what we do, and I say we are the premier financial partner for dental groups between 5 and 20 locations in size. Like, we don't work with larger, we don't work with smaller. That is exactly who we're after, and no one can serve that size of client better than us. We understand the complexities that they're dealing with. We know how to do the accrual bit. Like, that is who we help. No one does it better.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I just can't help but think, as we were talking about doing this now for 2 years, we weren't always perfect at this. I'm not sure we are even still yet perfect at this with, getting accrual implemented and those sorts of things. We've had some challenges where we've made commitments to clients, and due to any number of issues or things that came up, we weren't able to fulfill with a couple of clients, and man, that hurt. That was just those were dark days, and we definitely had to take our lumps. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear yours as well. But I agree, those were really dark days for the company, and some of my darkest days personally. Because as a business, when you're starting out, if someone's willing to pay you to do something, like, you take the job, you say yes. And that was always the advice that I had been given from other entrepreneurs. Like, if someone's going to pay you to do something while you're starting out, like, you say yes, and then you figure out how to turn around and fulfill it. And our problem, and there's one specific situation I'm thinking of that was like right in the early on stages of the business, where we overcommitted ourselves. Like, people asked, hey, can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? And we said yes, but we didn't have the capacity. And as hard as we worked to try to fulfill, we missed deadlines, we under-delivered, and like that, it's just a sucky feeling having to get on the meeting with that client and say, like, you know what, we did promise this one thing and we didn't do it for you. And again, without naming names, we've lost a client because of this in the past, where we had promised them something that we weren't able to deliver on. And like, the loss of business, that is what it is. Like, you can find new clients and you can rebuild, but like, personally, that hits really hard. This idea of like, we promised someone something that we failed to deliver. I know both you and I promised ourselves after that it was never going to happen again. Like, we were going to be more careful about what we committed to and the jobs that we took on, but we were going to try to thrill our clients with what we gave them and not disappoint them.
Yeah. And that's, I think, my key takeaway from that is that, yes, it was painful, but pain is a great teacher. And in this scenario, the resolve that we came to as a result of it, I mean, the fire is in the belly, and the fire does not know how to be quenched anymore, because that flame is just always going to burn for us. And so, man, it was hard taking those lumps and, taking the frustration and everything that went with it.
Yeah. Another thing that experience highlights for me, it helped us refocus on one of our core values. We've had our core values since the very beginning, and that's something that I'm very grateful for. But before we even really knew what our mission was, like before we knew the service that we were going to provide, we knew how we wanted to operate and what was important to us and what we weren't going to compromise on. And one of our core values is client-centric, meaning we're going to focus 100% on the client and on what they need. As a business, we're not going to focus on ourselves. All of our energy will go towards helping our clients, making them happy, and then we trust that business success will come from that. This experience that we've been talking about of failing to deliver for a client, I think hit so hard because we weren't living up to the core value that we had promised ourselves. Like, that core value, I won't quote the whole thing, but it says that we want our customers to be thrilled with what we give to them. Like, we want to give a level of service that's just unparalleled. We want them to never even think about leaving because they're just so happy with the problems we're solving for them. And it's a lofty goal, to be sure, but we failed on that count, but it strengthened our resolve to not just be a mediocre partner for our other clients, to not just do the bare minimum to keep them from complaining and, get some basic financial statements over the line every month and that's it. But it challenged us to say, what could we be doing to just leave people in awe of our product? Like, what could we do to thrill our customers with the problems we're solving for them?
Yep. And that word thrilled it's right in our core value. And staying with the core values, when we started the company and we built out our core values, we had 4. Today, we have 5. It turned out that Dallin and I loved these 2 core values so much that we inadvertently put both of them into one core value. Super. As I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, those really are 2 separate things, But we'd merged them together. So yeah, do you want to talk about how we ended up changing one or adding one?
Sure.
I should say?
And I think it could be helpful if you read both of them for our listeners. But yeah, there is so much that we wanted our core values to encapsulate, but we also wanted them to be simple. So we held ourselves to this number of 4. And there were 2 ideas that were really different things, but they were related enough that we thought we could kind of smash them into one. And eventually we thought for ourselves, for our team, it would make our discussions about this value more productive if we cleanly separated it into 2. But it's initiative and presence. And I think that our readers would benefit from hearing you read it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with the initiative core value. There are 3 kinds of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what just happened. We make things happen. We proactively add value instead of waiting to be told to do so. We take ownership of our responsibilities and hold ourselves accountable for the end result. That is the initiative core value.
I love that one.
I do too. And there's a reference here. It was a saying that my dad would say when I was a kid, this concept of there's 3 kinds of people in the world. And so, it's near and dear. My father's passed away, your grandfather, but he's alive and well here in our core values. And I love it.
Yeah. Do you want to read presence as well? And then we could kind of talk about the difference.
All right. So presence, we strive to be 100% present wherever we are and in whatever we are doing. Each aspect of our lives, including personal, family, and work, deserves our very best. We each achieve balance by devoting ourselves to work while we're at work and to home when we're at home.
And I think I'm trying to remember back to our discussions, but the idea was it takes initiative to be present. Like ultimately, it's something that you have to have ownership of. So they were related in the way that any 2 core values could be related. But again, we're different, but both a critical part of who we are. The kind of people that work hard, or the kind of people that get stuff done, no matter what it takes. We take ownership for both our successes and especially our failures. If any responsibility is given to us, we take personal responsibility for it. But then on the same token, we also don't burn ourselves out at work. And we know that sometimes work requires a little bit more and sometimes home requires a little bit more. So the core value isn't that we will spend equal time in all areas of our lives. But it was that when I'm at work, I'm going to be all the way there. I'm not going to be distracted. I'm going to leave everything else at home. Or if I'm at home, I'm going to be all the way there. Or if I'm at church, I'm going to be all the way there. Or like whatever the situation you're in, you're going to give your very, very best effort. And that's what it truly means to be balanced in life.
Yep, that's perfect. So we've basically just about covered all of the core values. I think maybe we have a core value called collaboration, which is pretty self-explanatory. But I think I wanted to just bring up our abundance core value, because this is, again, a little bit of a pet project for me because I always want to try to be in an abundance mindset. And so I think if I remember right, I advocated for this, when we were putting all these together. So I'd love to read this really quickly. The core value is abundance. We do not worry if the glass is half empty or half full because we know it is refillable. There are enough resources, opportunities, and successes to go around for everyone. Some fruits of an abundance mindset include gratitude, generosity, and optimism. We view setbacks as temporary and as opportunities to learn, improve, grow, and practice faith. This leads to resilience, or the ability to weather whatever challenges come our way. That's abundance, or at least the way we've defined it here inside of our company.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that we did define it. As you were reading it, I was just thinking about all of the times we've leaned on this core value over the last 2 years. And it's something really interesting happens when you take an idea like this and you write it down and you repeat it over and over again. But because I think lots of people have an internal commitment to be more grateful or to have an abundance mindset. But when the going gets tough, like if there's nothing external holding you accountable for it, it can be hard to maintain. But I can't count the number of times that you and I have gotten on a call together and I have ruefully said, we view setbacks as temporary and as opportunities to learn, grow, and practice faith. And even though it was a joke, the fact that we wrote it down and we're holding ourselves accountable to it, we're holding our team accountable to it, they're holding us accountable to it, pushes us to stay in the abundance mindset. And in those moments, the core value really has helped me move on. And even if I say it kind of jokingly, I'm like, wait, that's actually a good point. Like this setback is temporary. And this is just an opportunity for us to learn. Like there truly is no such thing as failure. We can keep on moving and we're going to be okay.
Yep. Yeah, great point. Great point. So as we start to come to a close here and wrap the episode, Dallin, is there anything else that you can think of? I mean, other than we've got this 2-year anniversary, we're excited about that. We know that, there are a lot of businesses that don't make it to where we've made it to. We feel very grateful. There were plenty of opportunities where it could have all fallen apart. Yet somehow we figured out how to put it back together and keep things going. Is there any sort of final thoughts you have, Dallin, about this 2-year anniversary and just everything we've talked about?
I would say this was so highlighted in our conversation. The failures have been just as important as the successes. And I'm grateful for both. And it's crystallized for me as part of this conversation. The failures and the setbacks have been just as important as the successes. I treasure the successes, the days where we've closed a new client or where we delivered something absolutely fantastic, or we've sat back as the client has just expressed gratitude for everything we've done for them and how we changed their business. Or we've seen our team members grow and learn and step up and accept new responsibilities. Those peak moments have been fantastic, but I'm just as grateful today for the low points and the failures because of everything that we've learned from them and the way that they've helped us grow. Do you have any final thoughts coming to the conclusion of our first 2 years here?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about resilience. And anybody who wants to grow a business needs to become intimately acquainted with resilience. There are the ups, there are the downs, there are the problems and the challenges, and then there's the, sometimes thrills of, doing something or accomplishing something, beyond what you had thought it was. So for me, I value resilience to the degree that I think that it's a big part of our business. I hope other people make it a big part of their business, because as we become resilient people, we become more valuable to other people. We can serve other people at greater levels and at higher peaks. And I don't know, I think we're on this earth to have an impact. And I love that I get to do this impact and expose some of the impact that I'm having because of us building this business and figuring out how to make it work. The good stuff and the bad stuff, it all ultimately works for our good.
Amen to that. And we're not stopping. We're taking this thing to the stars.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this unique episode where it was just Dallin and I. This time we'll be back to our normal routine and normal cadence moving forward. Who knows? Maybe once we get to year 3, maybe we'll do one more of these and see how we're doing, see if we've split up any more core values and everything else that goes with it. But we're grateful to everybody out there in the podcast land for listening in. And yeah, until next time, we're just going to be here building our resilience and building a great business, and don't be a stranger.
See you all next time.